So like compared to the real world, so in our game, you can like first of all, the scale of things you can do is huge, right? It's not just running around first person. You can get in ships and you can fly, but you can get in all sorts of different size ships. So from a single, small single-seater ship to a huge multi-crew ship to a massive capital ship. And if you think about the real world, so if you think about, say, the cost of a pistol, a handgun, yeah, probably, I don't know, $500. But then what if you fly an F-16, right? So because that's kind of what a Hornet is. It's like an F-16. Well, they're probably 19, $20 million. But then what if, you want to have a carrier? Because, I'm sure a Bengal carrier, well, the current carriers are like $3 billion or $4 billion. I think it's even $10 billion now for the biggest new American one. So there's a huge, from 500, hundreds of dollars to millions of dollars to hundreds of millions of dollars to billions of dollars, right? So,
in a very ambitious game like Star Citizen, there is a lot of issues with scale. It's something that we're going to constantly find that developers and the community are going to need to attempt to balance and come to terms with. One of the things that I wanted to start with when I'm talking about what is and is not in the economy and the current near-term and long-term progression of the Star Citizen universe being created is the concept of, do we have an economy? Is there too many wipes on the plan? We just experienced the 3.17.2 wipe, and there is still a jury out, so to speak, about is there another wipe around the corner for 3.18, which developers from CIG themselves have said, and community representatives have said is or at least was slated previously to 3.17.2. You may have seen my Spectrum discussions that try to ignite some of that discussion and try to eke out an answer, or hopefully the community can come to a conclusion about whether the 3.18 is going to need a wipe or not. And who knows? Let's see where this goes. But I thought this specific interview is a great starting point when you start discussing the CIG perspective on economy, because it comes directly from Chris Roberts.
So that's actually kind of one of the bigger challenges, because it needs to be challenging at all levels. And so we've been sort of working on the game pricing, and honestly, the pricing of our bigger ships that we've been doing for the pledges is like much less than they would be in the real world for the size and the capabilities of the ship that get bigger. So I would expect to have more disparity in the game. And so that would mean that to earn a big capital ship would take a lot of work. But the kind of concept would be, well, that's the kind of thing that an organization would work together themselves to, just like in real life, right? You would build up to work together to build. And of course, as you move to the bigger ships, or you've got more people, you can take on jobs that pay bigger. So it's just the same way as if you're a person that owns your own business, and it's all you doing your own stuff, then you can only scale so big. But then as you hire more people, you can do more things. As you get bigger ships and more people, then you take on jobs that earn more money, which will allow you to get bigger stuff.
Now, I have to subdivide this discussion into two topics. One is the store prices being increased to match this concept. The other is in-game cost associated with ships. And I can't really weigh in because not all ships are in-game yet. And due to wipes, organizations really can't bind together the kind of money that is necessary. And yes, I know about the big payouts during these wipes, and a lot of that's been taken back. I'll probably make another video just about that. But that's more of a topic that's very timely for now, not an evergreen topic for a big economy discussion that may span into multiple videos here. But anyway, back to topic. Store prices have certainly gone up, and a store price is kind of an individual fight. Unless you have a kind family member or an extremely close friend who gifts you a ship or a paint or whatever you needed. It's kind of an individual decision that you need to make with your budget and your credit and where you think you need those resources. I have long advocated that you should speak at least partially with your org mates, especially any that are close friends that you've known for a while that you think you're going to stick around with, or even new friends that you think you're going to be sticking around with for a while, and communicate and say, hey, I've got a mole, so I've got that covered. Does anyone have a hauler? Okay, we have a hauler. Does anybody have refining capabilities? What type of refining do we want to get? You see, that's the kind of the mindset of trying to build an organization together in the same time zones, which works can be many different time zones, but at least each time zone should have its own independent capacities. People should be logging in at the same times you are, and then you can rely on those things. So not everybody has to buy the same ships. But if we're just talking about CIG realizing they needed to up the prices to really try to at least match some of the cost of the resources that go into these ships, I look at the 890 jump. Well, if you go to ship upgrades page on the sales and you hit the all ships button, you can see the current price values. And ignoring the JAV, the Idris P, K, M, etc., which haven't changed in price for years. Let's talk about the ones that have. The Pioneer has gone up 100 USD. The 890 Jump has gone up 200 USD. The Holy is astronomical now. It's at 750 USD. Polaris is holding at 750. A2 Herc was kind of overpriced when it was introduced. That's another example, 750 USD. It never really should have been up that high. Topic for another day. You've got the Carrack is now at 625, and that's the one without the C8X, so it doesn't have the upgraded little C8 Pisces with all the weapons attached. The one with that is a little bit more. It's 645 USD. The Merchantman is at 600, and honestly, the Banu Merchantman is going to go up even higher. I guarantee it. The Orion's at 575. Some of these vehicles I'm starting to get into started at the 250 price point. 250 USD, and it's downright shocking how high these have gone. The Genesis Starliner is at 400. I think that's going to shoot up as well once they finally introduce that modular, incredibly valuable money-making project. I think the Orion will go up a little bit too, by the way. I didn't ignore it. It's just I'm trying to blaze through this and really just emphasize the sale page side of the world. And of course, the Endeavor has not gone up much, but once the Endeavor years from now is finally rolling out the door, it's going to shoot up dramatically. So these are just some of the topics on the sale page side. Now, going into the in-game world of rentals and purchasing of ships, it can take millions of UEC to purchase a simple ship, like the Connie Phoenix, for example. Granted, that's a rare ship. You might not even be able to purchase that ship except for once a year at IAE. Maybe, and it used to be hull limited, and then they took it off the hull limited list, and they've kind of been playing that inside-out game, but it's more of just availability of the sale, more importantly. Regardless if it's hull limited or not, you can get your hands on it then. But the rest of the year, you can buy it in-game. So between wipes, you can enjoy a Connie Phoenix, for example. And that's a very specific ship. But the Connie Phoenix alone, it can be millions of UEC. The Connie series in general can be millions of UEC. You have hammerheads in-game, sure. But now you're going into multitudes more millions of UEC. I'm purposely being vague on the prices because I do feel they're going to jump up a little bit. So if you're listening to this 6 months from now, I won't get a bunch of comments saying, well, actually, the exact price is not this or that. So bear with me a little bit. But what is the point of those prices? Well, those prices are supposed to be a goal for you to purchase. You're supposed to be able to earn enough money in-game. And the scale of the ship that we've already learned is critical in that topic. The bigger the ship, the more money you can make. The more friends you have, and in the future NPC crew members you have, the more capabilities you have to earn profit potential, run bigger ships effectively, and therefore open the door to even bigger money-making experiences. And a lot of that goes back to your org, to your friends, your support network, if you will. And I've seen myself organizations that are very good at pooling resources to be able to all bound together and buy one person, that Connie Taurus, for example, to be able to go transit the stars with, or they can purchase a C2 Hercules for someone to be able to do org missions or just do operations together and kind of let somebody really get in depth learning the ropes on transporting vehicles and transporting cargo in one package, etc., and kind of accomplishing those org concepts, and also reinforcing people feel like they get rewarded for their efforts. So by everyone banding together, you can all accomplish each other's goals. But that's kind of not as important the more often there is wipes. We're supposed to be in a long-term persistence game, and that means that the economy can be measured between these wipes. And honestly, I've gone on the record saying I think a year or more is a really critical number for these wipes to take.
As well as, also don't forget, the bigger things you have, the more upkeep they cost, right? Just like in the real, if you're like an oligarch and you've got your 250 foot yacht, that they cost $5 or $7 million just to keep running every year, right? Not alone the $50 million you pay to buy the thing in the first place. So we'll sort of have similar dynamics. I think the high-end ships probably won't be quite as it won't be quite as geometric as in the real world now, because if you buy a Cessna plane, I think you can get one for like 100,000 or 150,000. But you want a jet, you're paying a few $1 million at least, and 10 or 20 million dollars for sort of the Gulf Streams and stuff like that. And then you go on to the bigger ones. You want a Boeing transport, it's like a Boeing passenger liner, it's like 100 million or so. So there's more of a progression there. But we will definitely have in-game prices will sort of have more progression. So I could see something like the Constellation costing significantly more in in-game credits than it does right now if you're pledging and stuff. But we're still trying to balance with like kind of the earning, because also, like I said, the bigger the ship, the bigger the mission you can take on, and the more you can earn. So it's sort of hard to say how long it'll take you to earn, say, some of the bigger stuff, because when you've just gotten Aurora and you're starting out, you can't do some of the missions that you can earn more money. But as you've earned that smaller money, then you upgrade to a slightly more capable ship, or which will allow you to now earn missions that will get you more credits. And I actually think a lot of like online games sort of have that progression. Like the money you earn as a starting character is not the same money you would earn in a 50th level character in a game.
Sure. Okay, thank you very much.
So now we're kind of getting into the advanced topics of this world. How reputation has an impact on which money you can make. Even if you have the biggest ship, you can't suddenly just show up and expect the UEE advocacy to let you be the flagship of a response to a large-scale pirate invasion of Stanton. Eventually, there will need to be a progression, that you need to have a base level progression that you can work your way up. Or maybe it can be organizational based. This is something that was not brought up in this interview, but obviously this is kind of off the cuff interview, and I appreciate when Chris makes these. And I appreciate the interviewers from Crash Academy. He did a great job kind of letting the interview flow and in a good way. And no, I'm not going to make fun of your mic like everyone else does. It's cool. Hey, if your audio is clean, so be it, man. I know from one person to another, it's always got audio issues. Props to you, man. But I'm going to say this much. You have the convergence of reputation. You have the real cost factor of upkeep on that ship that's not going to go away, regardless if you have good reputation or not. And then you have the factors of keeping the upkeep of the crew of your org mates, i.e. they want their own goals to be accomplished if it's a real person. The crew will need to be funded and purchased ahead of time and then paid a salary or of some sort. There may be a cost to even just procuring the crew. And all of these things keep going back to the same response in my head. Well, if I have an org of folks with like-minded goals, I have that checkbox checked off where I'm busy helping them out, so they help me out. It's not such a big deal. One Genesis Starliner later with a little bit of escort, and all of us now have a huge stack of crew members to fill these large ships. One organization working together to grind reputation, it would turn what would be maybe weeks of work for a player into days, depending on how they allow you to chain reputation. I have seen with my own eyes the ability to run missions with friendlies and be able to get that ability to get basically still get the credit to kill pirates, for example, while I'm running missions with them. And while my mission's on cooldown, my buddy's mission that I'm running on their ship suddenly is not. And being able to kind of work together in tandem. If my stuff's blown up, I'll be able to wait while I'm waiting for the insurance claim, or I'm waiting to go get the ship back, or heck, let's go take the ship back. Having org mates matters. And I think the increasing complexity of larger ships is going to go back time and time again to, it's not a topic of it's a topic of us. And finding the right us for your journey in this game is going to be a real struggle, I'm sure, for many. But I stand by what I said many times. This is kind of a Field of Dreams situation. If you build the ships, if you earn the ships, folks that are like-minded to you will want to hang out with you. And you may not even want to constantly be in fleet with other players. You may not want to constantly be running missions with other players. But once in a while, you can pull out that pull out that credit wallet and suddenly be able to maybe buy some friends if necessary. So even if you're an absolute loner, once in a while, you're going to want to probably pick up some mercenaries to get rid of these people being pesky and constantly raiding your outpost. Or maybe building an outpost, for example. I didn't even touch on the Pioneer topic. Ships that can create something that's beyond just a value, a UEC value. Ships that can go beyond building a reputation with NPCs. They can build reputation with players by having a capacity that no one else in an area has. You may make friends that you never realized. Suddenly having a refinery on some tiny little moon in the middle of nowhere can make you a lot of friends. Having a pioneer to be able to help build outposts, having the only hull E in an area, and having the guts to use it, or having the coordination with combat players, good or bad, and having the right connections will net you dividends. So bear that in mind too. There's always going to be this cost, I think, that you're not going to be able to just factor into a spreadsheet. Even in EVE, believe it or not, some of the things that we did back when I played my decade plus in EVE, were very simply unable to be quantified. They were qualitative data, where you depended on who you knew and if you really could get a good read on them and trust them, and were they solid like they used to be. Those are critical life skills. And in orgs, you can have those folks that are dedicated into those roles as diplomats, so to speak, which are used in many different online games. But I think it's a bit of a larger topic than this. This is going to be a part one. I wanted to dissect this very important 2016 video that's been circulated for years now. And I hope that this is something new for you, or at least it opens these discussions up. If you've seen this video before, I think it still is a very valuable source. My next video is going to be going into Tony Z's presentations and trying to extrapolate what they look like going from 2022 into 2023 of development of Star Citizen. And hopefully that'll be kind of like a part two. So high level economy talk, not really in the weeds too much. If you want to do that, please don't hesitate to reach out to me on Discord, on Reddit, or on this video. The comments, of course, are always welcome. I, believe it or not, read every single one and usually respond, or at least give a reaction. And I appreciate the support. Just the fact people are interested in the same topics as me. No one funds this. All right, take it easy and fly safe.